Coming up next on Arizona Horizon's Journalists Roundtable, the governor tells lawmakers that she won't sign any more bills until progress is made over Medicaid expansion. One of the last bills the governor did sign allows for medical marijuana research on college campuses. And also tonight, another favorable court decision for a proposed tribal casino near Glendale. Those stories and more next on the Journalists Roundtable.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon's Journalists Roundtable. I'm Ted Simons. Joining me tonight are Jeremy Duda of the Arizona Capital-Times, Mike Sunnix of the Phoenix Business Journal, and Mark Brody of KJZZ Radio. The governor makes it clear that she wants to see progress on plans to expand Medicaid coverage in Arizona. Jeremy's so clear that she's basically saying, don't talk to me about anything else, huh?
Yeah, I think we've all been expecting this for a while. I mean, based on what seems like a total lack of progress on the issue on the legislative side, at least in terms of doing, what the governor wants them to do. She told them, basically, stop sending me bills, and, she didn't explicitly say, I'm going to veto anything that lands on my desk, but that's the implied threat, and as her spokesman put it to me, I don't know of any legislators who want to be the guinea pig on this one.
And when it comes to Medicaid expansion, let's again define terms here, because some folks, may be coming in late to the argument. This is talking about expanding for childless adults up to 133% of the poverty level?
Yeah, that's part of the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. The feds provide a really massive matching rate. The states don't have to put up that much money, and the governor wants to pay for the state's share through a tax on hospitals, which most of the hospitals are already on board with. But a lot of folks in the legislature are not happy with this on the Republican side. You've got the Senate president vowing to block it. There's been no movement, and the governor's she's kind of fed up with it now. It seems like.
Why are so many people not happy with this?
Well, the opponents have a couple of fronts that they're working on. Obviously, it's part of Obamacare. A lot of conservatives don't like that just starting off. They're worried the state's going to end up being beholden to these mandates. The feds aren't going to come through with the money in the long term, and we're going to have this law sitting on the books. We're going to have to pay for this. They point to the previous proposition back in 2000 that expanded access, where they promised a certain amount of people would join, and that was a lot more people and a lot more cost. So there's a lot of fiscal concerns about it. And then there's the abortion issue, where a lot of the anti-abortion, pro-life folks want some kind of anti-Planned Parenthood plank in there. They don't want any money going to any abortion provider, no matter what they're doing, even if it's non-abortion services. They want to tie it to that. And that's probably one of the bigger issues that's going to pop up as we move forward.
Well, and Jeremy mentioned that the plan has run into some opposition at the legislature, specifically opposition from the House Speaker and the Senate President, who you generally, 9 times out of 10, need their support to at least get a bill on the floor for a vote. So, the governor has been working with individual members, trying to convince them try to allay their fears, whatever they are, whatever their concerns that Mike brought up. But she's definitely trying to work with members to get them maybe to convince the leadership to bring the bill up or to potentially go around them.
I was going to say, this sounds like it could be a concerted bypass around the Senate president in particular.
Yeah, they only need a simple majority of votes. There's a couple ways to do that. One is a discharge petition to get that out of committee, but the more likely one is a simple majority of votes, but you need at least 3 Republicans to join the 13 Democrats, and you can just bring it up for a vote without the Senate president's approval. And it looks like they've probably got the votes to do that. In the House, they might have enough Republican votes to pass it. They're probably right around the borderline, but they certainly don't have enough votes to push this past House Speaker Andy Biggs. And another thing on the abortion front, we've seen kind of an interesting twist on that from a couple of members who are staunchly opposed to the plan to begin with. But Representative Carl Seal and a few others are proposing what Seal calls an abortion prohibition circuit breaker. He wants this to be a provision to be added to whatever bill the Medicaid plan is on, and this would basically cut off the funds for the expansion if it couldn't be guaranteed that none of the money would go to abortion providers. And since that probably can't be guaranteed legally, he's openly admitting that this is just a way to kill off Democratic votes, get them to vote no, and kill off the expansion.
Well, and based on what happens with the abortion issue, the governor has said that she's looking at maybe trying to deal with some of the concerns that Kathy Herrod and others have brought up. That could potentially lose Democratic votes, and the governor is really kind of counting on Democrats who are, in general, supportive of the idea of expanding Medicaid, but maybe not so much if there's certain abortion language in that bill.
Talk about that particular dynamic, because we're not hearing much from Democrats, but I imagine if this becomes more of a focal point, we are.
Boy, that's going to be a tough decision for Democrats to whether almost all of them are pro-choice, support abortion rights, and if there's some kind of anti-Planned Parenthood, pro-life language in there, do they vote against that, even though they want to see Medicaid expand? It's going to be a tough decision. The thing, the governor has a few sticks. She can stop bills, those type of things. But what can she offer these Republicans who are kind of on the fence? All the noise these Republican lawmakers are hearing, the conservatives, is from opponents, from the Tea Party, from the anti-abortion folks. What can the governor offer them? So I'd be interested to see how that works itself out.
But some of the Democrats, like you guys mentioned, are saying that if there's some sort of pro-life, anti-abortion thing added in here, they might vote no. Some of them are very explicitly saying so. Some of them, the word is some may even vote no if that's in a standalone bill. Now, what I'm hearing from the governor's office is mostly a lot of skepticism over whether they'd really be willing to do that or whether it's just a bluff. I mean, this is such an important issue to Democrats, more so than to Republicans mostly, not Jan Brewer excluded, of course, that they don't really, it seems like they don't really think that Democrats are really going to go through with voting no on this and have to go back to their constituents next year for their re-elections and explain why they voted no on expanding Medicaid to hundreds of thousands of people.
The fact that Jan Brewer is dependent upon Democrats staying in the fold shows you kind of where the issue is at and the challenges she faces down there.
Well, with that in mind, possibility of a special session, possibility of referring this to the ballot and just letting the whole legislature say, to heck with it?
Yeah, you hear people sort of bring up the ghosts of Prop 100, which was the sales tax, the temporary 1 cent sales tax that the governor called for in they voted on it in 29 to put it on the ballot. After like a year of trying to have the legislature just approve it, they eventually decided just to put it on the ballot. You're hearing a lot of sort of, well, maybe this is the same kind of thing, but you're also hearing from the governor and from some leaders that they're not really interested in doing that, that it's enough already. The legislature we're elected to make these decisions. We have to make them one way or the other. But it's still a possibility. I mean, who knows? Nothing is really certain probably until sine die.
How possible?
It's hard to say. I mean, I've been hearing more about the ballot measure from legislative Republicans, but the ninth floor seems pretty adamantly opposed. And what makes this different from Prop 100 is, back then the governor said, yeah, I'd like you guys to pass this out of the legislature with a 2/3 majority, but if not, send it to the ballot. And it seemed like pretty obvious from day one that their ultimate goal was to get a ballot referral. For this, they're not interested in that. They want the legislature to pass it and just get it out of the way.
Well, I think a lot of Republican legislators would like to see it go to the ballot. That would take a lot of heat off of them for voting for something that's Obamacare, has the abortion issue in there. And it could be, a lot of people count this as a tax increase, no matter what you call it, an assessment or what. A lot of the anti-tax crowd see it as a tax increase. So if they don't have to vote on those things, that kind of protects them when they're facing a primary opponent.
Is this the kind of thing that would pass if it were on the ballot?
Well, you'd have to think an off-year election would be fairly low turnout. I mean, Prop 100 was relatively low turnout in a special May election, not a presidential election, not congressional, nothing else. So you'd think in 2013, you'd probably think turnout wouldn't be that strong. So given that, you would imagine that the people who really support it would probably be able to get their people to the polls. So conventional wisdom would suggest that it would probably pass, but who knows? I mean, once something goes to the ballot, sort of all bets are off.
But just keep in mind exactly how much money would probably be coming into a special election for this. You have the Chamber of Commerce and business interests across the state, all the hospitals, the governor raising money. I mean, this would be, just like Prop 100, where they brought pretty much every business interest and special interest in the state in to support this campaign, and the other side had like $50 to its name.
Yeah, I think all things being equal, it would have a good chance of passing. Like they had a lot of the hospital money, the chamber money in there. But if you get the Tea Party financiers to come in there nationally, big money to try to oppose this as a national issue to kind of fight Obamacare, then all bets are off. It could be very close. You could see Treasurer Ducey, who came out against the sales tax renewal, also step in there. You could see some folks that really could brandish their conservative credentials.
I was going to say, that's a good point, because then all of a sudden that particular vote and who is on either side of the fence becomes a factor in upcoming state and local races, does it not?
You would have to think it would, yeah. Although even if it's in the legislature, this obviously wouldn't affect the treasurer and or the attorney general and those people, but it certainly would affect people in the legislature, some of whom are maybe running for corporation commissions, some of whom might be running for other offices, some of whom are running for re-election. So you'd have to think, regardless whether it goes to the ballot or whether it's dealt with in the legislature, these votes will probably be among the more looked at, you would think, next year during elections.
Well, if this thing drags itself out, you go to the ballot or something like that, then, like you said, it starts to seep into the governor's race, especially the Republican primary, and where do different Republicans stand on this? Scott Smith, Hugh Hallman, do see those types.
It becomes a defining issue almost. If it gets that far, you know it's going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, a lot of these people have been pretty quiet about their thoughts on the plan so far, too. Now to really force them to come out and take a position.
Indeed. Okay, so last point on this. It sounds like absolutely nothing else is getting done down there.
Well, nothing else is going to get done now because if they send any bills to the governor, it sounds like she's going to veto them. There's actually several bills that were passed after she gave this warning, apparently earlier in the week. They passed yesterday, but they haven't been sent up to the governor's office yet, so we'll see if she's really willing to follow through when that happens.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about some of the bills here. So the foreclosure, you have to notify a tenant if you're renting a place that has been foreclosed upon. Is that what this is all about?
Yeah, this has come up a couple times. It's been an issue in past years, probably not as much now because the foreclosure wave has ebbed a little bit. People would actually, rent a house and then suddenly they get evicted because their landlord has been foreclosed on and they didn't get notified. So it's kind of a consumer renters protection type thing. The ironic thing is a lot of the people that have been victimized by this were foreclosed on themselves, were forced to rent homes, and now they're getting booted out again.
Get 5 days, I think, something along those lines.
Yeah, and this is a bill that got, if not unanimous, pretty close to unanimous support in the legislature. It's one of those, as Mike said, a consumer issue that it's one of those that legislators say, it only seems fair that if you're going to get kicked out of your place to live, you should have a little bit of time.
Mark made a good point earlier that it's something they should probably pass in 2008 or 2009.
Well, there you go. 28-0 was the vote in the Senate, and like 54-2 or something like that in the House. Has it? And this has not been signed yet?
No, I believe this is one of the handful of bills that's on its way to the governor. So that'll
dead
be
letter office, in other words.
That'll really be a test of her willingness to do that. But they passed. This stuff like this has been introduced a lot over the past few years since the foreclosure crisis started, and the governor actually signed kind of a similar bill, I believe, back in 2010. Now that required a notice. Landlords to inform prospective tenants before they rented if they were facing foreclosure. This affects people who are already in a lease agreement, saying, well, you have to notify them now and let them know that they might have to move out. Okay.
Now, the governor did sign a law regarding marijuana research on college campuses. Wasn't this banned a year? Wasn't there a law that was banned a year ago or something along those lines?
Yeah, what she signed last year, it banned medical marijuana from schools, including higher education institutions. I guess we're giving a new definition to higher education now with this bill, but what that ended up doing, that bill from last year, is it prevented people from doing research, because you had a researcher down at U of A who wanted to study the effects of medical marijuana on post-traumatic stress disorder on combat veterans, and she got approval from the feds, from the Federal Food and Drug Administration, but she couldn't do that because of this law. Now, under this, she'll be allowed to do that. And you saw U of A was very supportive of this. They wanted it to be passed, and it looks like this research will move forward.
Okay, so that one did get signed before the moratorium, before the deadline.
And before the buzzer.
Before the buzzer, yes. All right. The Tohono O'odham proposed casino out there near Glendale. Have they lost a court decision yet?
No, I think it's 10-0.
Yeah.
I think they've won all
Pull
of them.
the goalie on that one.
Absolutely. They continue to win these because of that federal law that allows them to add to their holdings in unincorporated land, is what they did. The other tribes that have casinos up here, the city of Glendale, Trent Franks, a lot of folks oppose it, but the courts keep siding with them. And the opponents of this casino are kind of starting to run out of legal options. There's a few more appeals they can go through, but you're starting to get to the end of the game here where they might actually start moving dirt out there sometime soon.
And go ahead, give us an overview. Again, the tribe was given land because their land was flooded, I believe, by a federal dam.
Well, they were allowed to buy land.
Yes.
They did, although they did so under a corporate name that did not make it clear who was actually buying it. They sat on the land for a while, and a few years ago announced, hey, it's us, and by the way, we're going to build a Vegas-style resort and casino. One of the things that's interesting about this ruling is it's a little bit different than some of the others. A lot of the other court cases have dealt with, as Mike alluded to, the federal laws dealing with whether or not tribes can buy land to be put into the reservation, whether that land is then eligible for gaming. This one dealt with the state gaming compact. It's more of a state issue, and it was another one of the arguments that critics had brought up, that it would basically shatter the state tribal gaming compact and allow casinos basically on every street corner in the valley and everywhere else. This ruling's a little bit different in the sense that it dealt more with the gaming compact as opposed to the federal laws, but it's still an important win for the Tohono O'odham tribe.
I think you're going to see the opponents their kind of last gasp is a bill in Congress that Trent Franks and some of the other congressional lawmakers have put forward to kind of undo the law that's kind of been the basis of this. It's interesting that some of those lawmakers are in districts with other casinos and tribes. The Gila River, the Salt River are the big two opponents to it. They have casinos here, and the Tohono O'odham casino will just bite into their market share.
But it sounds like the cities in the West Valley that have been very opposed to this are starting to kind of accept their fate. You know, according to the Republic, the Peoria passed some resolution supporting it, and some officials in Glendale are starting to say, well, hey, maybe we need to make nice with the tribe, start figuring out how to incorporate this into our tourism and business plans, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, Glendale was, Scruggs, who was mayor, and Ed Beasley, who was city manager, were so opposed to this. They really, really led the opposition, brought in the other tribes, brought in some other folks against this. They're both obviously gone now, so you're probably going to see, maybe some change, or at least a gradual change out of Glendale.
And the bill that Trent Franks introduced in Congress, he introduced the same bill basically last year, which went through I think it was last year, was approved by the House, didn't go anywhere in the Senate.
Well, and it's going to go even less. Now, I mean, is there any chance on earth that thing gets passed and signed and becomes a law?
Signed by the president?
Yes.
Seems unlikely.
It does seem unlikely.
Zero.
And it sounds like Peoria, as you mentioned, Peoria is always saying we don't even want any part of this. And that's...
Well, Peoria's mayor Bob Barrett has been supportive of the plan for several years. But a lot of the other West Valley cities, Jeremy's right, were at the very least were kind of nervous about it.
So do we see an appeal? I mean, is this continue? How many times can you get knocked to the canvas here?
Well, there's a lot of money on the table here for all the tribes, and the longer the other tribes can drag this out, the better for them. And the Tohono O'odham tribe's not going to go away on this. This thing's eventually going to get built. But yeah, there's a lot of patience on both sides on this, so they'll drag it out probably as long as they can.
Compact runs out 2027, something along those
it'll
lines.
Get built before
Perhaps
that.
Then you think it'll be built, or
it'll get built.
You never know.
Yeah.
Tom Horn went ahead and pleads no contest, pays a $300 fine. I think a couple $100 administrative costs were tacked onto that. Settles a traffic charge, and that's that, right?
Well, we'll find out. He pleaded no contest to accidentally backing into another car in a parking garage and leaving the scene. There's apparently some paint scratches. He'd always said, well, I don't really remember it, and I didn't know that I did any damage, but if I had, I would have settled it then. But he paid a $300 fine, like $280 in surcharges, and that's that for that case. Of course, he's still got plenty of other cases, and now you've got Senator Steve Gallardo, kind of a Democratic bomb thrower over at the legislature, talking about wanting to start impeachment charges. I can't imagine that'll go anywhere. There's really any reason to take that seriously. But people are agitating, and they're just kind of piling onto Horn more. He's faced these string of legal problems and issues.
What do you think about Horn's response to all this? I didn't sense a heck of a lot of contrition there in his statement.
No, I mean, we've heard in the past about how when the legislature's in session and there's not a lot going on, that's sort of when goofy things start happening. I've had legislators say that we all have too much time on our hands. That's why you see some of these weird bills. But I think Jeremy's probably right on this one. They'd have to have a lot of free time for this to really
impeachment proceeding.
For an impeachment proceeding to really gain any traction.
Well, they spoke with Speaker Tobin earlier, and this would have to begin in the House. Gallardo can't start it in the Senate because the House has to impeach someone, and then it would go to the Senate for impeachment trial. And the first he'd heard of that was from me, and he thought this was just political grandstanding and posturing by Gallardo. I can't imagine there's any way they get enough support to move that forward, and Tobin doesn't really want to start it either.
The timing of this was very interesting too. Which day it came out? There was a verdict from a young lady's murder trial that happened to be announced a couple hours before.
There was a murder trial.
Yeah, there was a murder trial in town, and you might have caught it on headline news.
I'll look it up.
And Horn decided to put it out maybe 4 or 5 o'clock that day, after all the oxygen was sucked out of the air by Jodi Arias.
He said his statement, he would have taken care of things personally if he had known that there were scratches there. Again, that doesn't sound... You were talking about the Attorney General here, and I think that's what people are concerned about with this whole incident. You got a couple of FBI agents tailing him for another reason completely, and you got the bumping into the car and leaving and the baseball cap. What does this do to Tom Horn?
It's just very interesting. Every time we talk about this, the fact that FBI agents were tailing the state attorney general on a campaign finance probe type case. That just shows you kind of the bizarre nature of the whole thing. Obviously, the baseball cap and the work friend that he was visiting plays in there. Certainly, this damages him. And if there's a formidable opponent to him, either in the primary or the general, they're certainly going to bring it up. And if they have the money to run commercials and talk about this, boy, that's a pretty big arrow to have.
Well, and he still has the campaign finance charges. I mean, Bill Montgomery can't pursue it, but somebody else will. So he's still got that, and the longer this drags out, the longer it potentially plays into a primary, getting involved in a primary, that sort of thing. So.
And I think you'll see, if it's Rodolini and him and the general, that was a close race last time, she's going to get a lot of support, a lot of money. She'll probably get some national money because she could be a rising star, somebody that could run for Senate or governor if she can win this race. And I think it's going to be a big deal if it's her, because she was the one that was his opponent during this probe.
Well, and remember, he's also got another court case pending, which is the civil suit from an employee in federal court alleging harassment, discrimination, retaliation. She's the one who initially tipped off the feds to this campaign finance stuff. She's alleging that they retaliated against her for that, is seeking damages, and who knows what gets said in that trial. There's probably going to be a lot of testimony about kind of the inner workings and who's friends with who and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to believe it's going to do anything but make Horn look bad.
The challenge, though, for the Democrats is they have to be able to bring this up. They have to have the money to put behind Rodolini or whoever else it is and really go after him on something like this. Or otherwise, it's just going to kind of fade away because it's going to be far enough away, and he'll just dismiss it as a minor thing.
Is it a minor thing that the governor's appointment to this naturopathic physicians medical board, who was at one point telling everyone who would listen that he had the governor's ear and he's a pretty big shot when it comes to the governor, that this guy has quit before possible suspension? There could be some charges here. I mean, it's a complicated case, but it gets pretty close to the governor's inner circle, does it not?
Yeah, her husband was director of the board, I think, back in the early 2000s. I think he had to step down from that because of some problems with his resume and the credentials that he had claimed. And this is obviously a very obscure board, but this gentleman, Robert Geer, is accused of illegally selling medical marijuana out of his clinic, I guess. He denies the charges, but yeah, you start to connect the dots a little bit. You get the governor and her husband involved. You have medical marijuana involved. It makes it a bigger story than just an obscure little medical board.
And I guess the previous executive director resigned because that director wasn't happy with some of the appointments that the governor was making, correct?
Yeah, there were some. Yeah, he was unhappy with one of them. That was around the same time this guy Geer got appointed.
Yes.
And there were a handful of others. Another appointment, I think, actually, it was withdrawn, and she was also caught up in this indictment on the medical marijuana stuff up in Navajo County. But yeah, the old director resigned, said he felt like the governor was appointing inexperienced people. He thought members of the board were violating open meetings laws, and it sounded like kind of a dysfunctional situation. And after that, that's when this guy got made executive director, which is like a $105,000 a year job, I think.
Was he executive director?
I believe so. I believe he was the director, and that's like a six-figure job. Interestingly enough, these people also, they license naturopaths who can give recommendations for medical marijuana.
Well, strange that all the problems seem to be on this one board. You have a lot of state boards, and these things pop up under a lot of different governors. There's cronyism and political favoritism, and you help your friends. But this one board, which no one probably knows, has had numerous problems over the last decade.
Obscure no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but again, this board kind of oversees medical marijuana in the state as well, and that wasn't a problem back in the old days when all you worried about was a couple of herbs.
Well, there's been a lot of questions about how to regulate these new age and natural health practitioners. A lot of different takes on how to do that and how much regulation they need, how much license they need, and this board deals with some of that stuff.
All right, last question before we go. We got about a minute or so left here. How long before the ice thaws in this whole battle over Medicaid expansion?
Who knows? I picked June 15th in the Sinai die pool. That might have been, I'm still trying to decide whether that's optimistic or pessimistic, because if they don't send the governor the Medicaid plan she wants, they send her a budget with that she's going to veto it, just like she did in 2009, we could potentially be here through July or later.
What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I think I've been hearing that, some folks are suggesting this might be another year where it's a full-time legislature.
And it could really be possible, huh? The air conditioning working down there?
Yeah, I think the governor might turn the air up a little bit on them, turn it down, and make them and heat them out of there. But I think the opponents are emboldened a little bit on this. I think they're stronger than they were maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think they feel they have a chance of blocking this.
Interesting. All right, gentlemen, good stuff. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Monday on Arizona Horizon, we will hear about the Department of Economic Security's plans to reinvent the state's safety net system, and we'll look at the status of Homeland Security in the Phoenix area. That's Monday evening, 5:30 and 10, right here on Arizona Horizon. Tuesday, the latest on Maricopa County's sustainability efforts, including the county's Green Government Program. Wednesday, it's our weekly legislative update with the Arizona Capitol Times. Perhaps something we'll have thawed by then, perhaps not. Thursday, we'll talk with the director of Ballet Arizona about Topia, the company's upcoming evening of dining and ballet at the Desert Botanical Garden. And Friday, it's another edition of the Journalists Roundtable. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great weekend.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.